Hello and welcome to PJ's Media Reviews. My name is PJ, and with me today is Sean, and we will discuss the finales of Raised by Wolves and The Boys. But first, we're going to start with Raised by Wolves. And of course, spoilers for the season, both seasons. What the fuck was that at the end of Raised by Wolves? This
I couldn't
it
tell
makes
you.
you go back. It makes you go back and think about this Campion program that she had sex with in that weird sex scene earlier, which presumably impregnated her because she describes the father that she had an experience with the creator and he downloaded some stuff into her, and it turns out that's probably not the real Campion, the real creator of her, that she's been duped, and in fact she's been used this whole time by this unknown entity, which we still don't know who the hell they are. Is Soul real? Is this entity using the myth of Soul to manipulate these people? That seems like the most obvious thing. Because they're saying some fucked up. These voices that Paul hears and Little Campion hears and Travis Fimmel's character, whose name escapes me all of a sudden. Yeah.
Marcus?
Yes, Marcus. It's pretty
Yeah,
insidious and kind of random.
well, when I came out of the finale, I was like, okay, so Soul exists, or at least there's like some sort of alien presence, or like an another life form somewhere. That's what I assumed. That's trying to
You know, it
communicate and
almost
trying to
reminds me of
control
like
these
there's
people.
some kind of omniscient being out there.
Yeah, there's like a Q or something. There's someone out there, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you're like, so it made no sense to me during the sixth scene. I didn't like that at all. I was like, why are they doing this? I said, like, I'm not a fan of that kind of like the things going on in your mind. But then the way the finale kind of explained it is she didn't really have sex. She was kind of like violated, I suppose, by an alien presence. Or I don't know if
She
you can
was
call it
she was
violated. She was an
lured
android. But
she was
there
manipulated
was,
or lured into a to an act that uh, falsely under false pretenses. It's kind of like the insidious entity used this program to pose as the creator Campion and lure her into like a love relationship,
mm,
or like, she loves him, she named her kid after him and everything, right? So like of course she's gonna love her creator, but it turns out that wasn't the real representation. Maybe at the
was it
beginning.
all of that, or was it simply just while she was out, like while she was in the program, and not conscious of what was going on in the real world? Was it just that one of them eels came and was like, "Oh look, there's an artificial womb in this body. Let's just plant a seed in there."
Yeah, it's weird. It's like what
Hey,
what
Starfleet boy.
what is the entity that's impregnating her through a program? It's like all very confusing to me,
I
to be
don't think she was
totally honest.
impregnated through the program. I think the program was just something that she was living, she was living that in the program. But I think that she was impregnated in real life, like on the planet, by one of those space snakes.
And
That's what I think happened.
when would have that occurred?
Well, we wouldn't see it while she was in the program, because
Oh,
she's completely knocked out, right?
okay.
She's lying in a bed, and she's got this artificial womb in her because she's been constructed that way or modified to be that way.
Yeah,
And so
that's a
I'm
good
thinking like
observation.
maybe just the snake was like, let's put something in there. Oh, he disagrees.
Well,
Here we go.
what you're saying makes me think about, okay, she's in there, she's living the actual program that she was meant
Hmm,
to like discover,
hmm.
but this thing impregnates her on the outside and she's not aware, and she interprets it in like this weird fever dream in the whole scene. The sex scene is very it's kind of like
It's
abstract
intense.
and
Yeah.
intense, and there's all this android blood which just looks like milk raining down on them and stuff like that, so there's all this symbolism there. But yeah, Starfleet boy, it's a virus. And then he disagrees with you on your theory.
Plus, it has her abilities. It has her abilities.
Oh, like floating around.
Oh, like flying. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's strange. My favorite sex scene in all TV. Well, it's unique. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I couldn't tell you. The thing is, the way my mind works is I don't stray too far into the abstract, into the completely fucked up. So I try to rationalize everything, and I'm like, oh, the only rational way to explain this is like an actual being on an actual planet put a baby in an actual person. Like that's how I try to interpret it. So that's why I go to straight away. Like there must have been like an alien presence on the planet. Put a baby. Maybe the baby developed in her womb and so kind of got some of her powers. If that's the case, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't see how a virus could impregnate her and actually create a physical being.
Yeah.
Especially why it would be a snake thing. That's perplexing to me. But then that might be the case. The whole show is perplexing. It's just fucked up. But
And whatever these beings are or that are pulling the strings, and it's definitely something. It's not. It's not like we're not going to discover it like Saul as like this guy in a robe with a big gray beard or some shit. It's gonna
no,
be
I would
like
highly doubt that.
it's gonna be some evil, fucked up looking non humanoid alien that's like the brain of it all or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like they discover him in a cave and he's like sucking their brains out like in Starship Troopers.
So you're pretty convinced soul exists, or at least there's like an entity out there.
There is an entity taking advantage of the belief system of
Mm.
yeah, and there's also another
Would
ship
it
on
would
the
it have
way.
something? Would that entity have something to do with the the thing that they found, the hot thing that they found on the planet?
The thing that they found, that big thing that you put your arm into when he tests people to see if they burn or
Yeah,
not. Yeah,
and one of them didn't like. Well, the kid didn't get his arm burned. He was fine. He was safe.
yeah, and that could have been totally random. That trap could have been set and it just went off once, and that guy suffered it, and then everybody else after didn't,
I
because
don't
nobody
think so
else.
because they show us that there's heat emanating from the hole after, right? Like he puts his hand in and he's fine, and he pulls his hands out and he's still fine. But they show us that there's still heat coming out of there.
Yeah, it implies an ancient civilization was there and
Like
probably.
an AI system is worked into the.
Oh my god, wouldn't it be fucked up if the whole thing is like an ancient AI, like kind of like V'ger or not V'ger, but you know, like
Trying to protect Mother by saying like to Marcus, "Don't kill her. We need to keep her alive. Whatever."
that's a good point because uh, the voices specifically tell him, "Don't kill her. You'll be king or whatever." Clearly, those voices are manipulating him because they don't want her to die for a certain reason. So, I think whatever impregnated her, and whatever that eel thing is connected to the beings, and they through her have created a new species almost. Because maybe perhaps the those things couldn't like hover and fly like they could before, like the earlier
Mm.
versions that of a species that probably originated on that planet. There's a lot about the planet we
Planet
don't know yet.
which you can go through the core of the planet, by the way. So the holes literally lead to the core, and then you can cross it.
That's a weird thing that I was scratching my head about because
It's very
when
unscientific, isn't it?
I very
I think.
much expected them to die at that moment. I was like, okay,
Yes.
oh, and
I
it's gonna,
legitimately looked at the show and was like, "Oh my god, they killed them! That's amazing,
yeah.
bold." But then they
And
didn't. I was like, "Oh, that surprised me."
and I don't like the fact that they cut away from it for a couple, like a minute or so, and then go
Mm.
back, and I'm like, oh fuck, they're alive. Okay, weird.
Well, usually I'm pretty good at like noticing the fake out scenes. Like, you know what I mean? Like nowadays, we will talk about this later, but in The Boys, it's like there was no way they killed her, right? Like, snap the neck, and you're like, you know, she's not dead. You just know it.
Yeah,
And so like the fake out, you're like, eh. But these two, I was like, oh shit, the show actually killed them. They put them in the core of the planet. Like I would assume that the core of a planet is death. One must never assume anything with TV nowadays.
yeah. Starfleet boy says, Yeah, I thought the same thing too about them dying. I was so shocked because honestly, personally, mother and father are my faves.
Oh yeah, totally. I love them so much.
But I was thinking
Father's
now,
just a good guy, right?
yeah,
Mother's doing her best, but she's got all these different, I suppose, programmings going on in her mind now. So there's just all of these issues.
I will erase my memories of you, mother, because I feel too hurt. Um, yeah, I think they were protected somehow through the core because that literally doesn't make any sense unless there was divine intervention of some sort. You know what I mean?
The snake, maybe the snake being. Oh, you think literally the soul entity or the entity posing as soul saved them?
Or what you
It's
just
all
said.
heat related.
The snake thing was hovering above when they came out the other
Well, the
side, and it could
snake
have
thing
create
absorbs energy, right? From what I
yeah,
understand.
could have protected them. Like could have created the bubble, like all through the molten core right to the end. Like it's a survival mechanism that activated in the alien.
The snake being absorbs energy because every time something bad happens to it, it gets bigger. Like it goes through the core, it's bigger. It
Mm.
smashes on the planet, it gets bigger. So the shuttle is that strong? You think the shuttle is strong enough to go through a core? Maybe.
No, because the
Well,
androids knew
like
that it wasn't gonna last. They knew it
yeah, well,
wasn't
yeah,
gonna.
they sent themselves in there expecting to die, right? So, mm, maybe, yeah, maybe they were protected. This is like an entity somewhere just protecting them.
Yeah, the shuttle is a strong shuttle though. Very futuristic.
Maybe it is an old AI trying to protect these new AIs.
Or what about an AI, an ancient AI that isn't a physical presence? Like you know what I mean? It's non corporeal. Is that the word?
Okay, so think back to Avatar, the James Cameron movie,
Yeah,
where the planet is also a sentient being, essentially, right? Like the whole planet, the whole ecosystem is alive and is someone or something. It's like a life form. And so if you hurt the planet, then you're hurting a life form, and like all the Navi are connected to it. Could
yeah,
the planet in some way be a presence?
yeah. Like a Gaia. Like what was it called? Gaia. Yeah, it could have its
Gaia,
own. Could have its own
or
soul.
I was gonna say, what's his face? The father's name in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Ego. That's a bit different, I guess, though.
Presenting a a planet as a sentient being of some sort was also done in what Marvel movie?
Well, that's what I'm saying. In Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? That's Ego, the Living Planet. It's
Oh,
Peter Quill's
okay,
father.
okay. I didn't hear that. Okay, Ego, and that was Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I barely remember Guardians. I only seen it once. I only saw it once. Pardon my
Really?
grammar.
One or two? Both?
I saw the first one a couple of times,
Okay.
2 times in theaters, and then the first one I was like, it's fun, but I have no desire to watch this again. Maybe later. I've yet to watch it on Disney Plus, but I'm
Hmm.
waiting for all the movies to be on there, but they're not. You know, if they include the Venom verse, they're gonna have a lot more movies included in that MCU.
Sony will never give over the rights to whatever projects. Sony need to come up with like a streaming platform or give all that shit to Disney so that Disney can distribute it. Because currently they've got like 5 Spider-Man shows announced and however many movies, but they've got nowhere to distribute them, and that's a problem.
I think in 5 years, Disney will buy out Sony and just own everything anyway.
There'll be a lot of lawyers looking into that. There'll be a whole thing like, are you allowed to do such a big thing? They can't buy out Sony because then they'll have PlayStation.
Yeah, true. Uh, Disney is becoming more aggressive. There's a recent article or something about how they're gonna expand Disney Plus. Like they're gonna make it because a lot of people complained about how there's not a lot of new things on there. You didn't really.
No, not really.
I mean, you got to realize Netflix and Amazon they invest billions of dollars in these shows, like crazy amounts of money to produce multiple shows every year simultaneously in different parts of
Well,
the United States and the
Disney just
world.
dumped all of their trash on it. Um, I don't mean to
It's
be
a
mean,
it's
but
a
that's what they
it's
did.
their library. Yeah, it's their
Yeah, it's like
classic
they got all
library.
of these Disney tunes and they got all these like Disney Channel, all of this shit that I suppose we all watched. We like every kid had their own generation of Disney Channel shows. I don't know if that was a thing when you were younger, but when I was younger, they were like Disney Channel shows. We used to watch them, and then like I've seen my brother and my sister. Everyone like grows up with their own kind of, and they're all crap shows, but they serve the purpose of entertaining the kids. The entire Disney library is filled up with that. Which I
Yeah,
mean, not everyone's gonna go back and rewatch. I rewatched Gargoyles because that was an animated show that I was fond of, and I know a lot of people went back and watched the old Marvel ones, Marvel
mm.
animated shows. But yeah, other than that, it's not like
The X-Men animated series is probably one of the greatest animated series ever produced.
Okay,
And I love the fact that there's a scene in Newfoundland, and it's like Newfoundland, Canada. It's like they're on the rocks, and there's like fishermen everywhere. Yeah, it's like yeah, that's what we are. Oh, t t t t t.
so they need more. They need more original content, and like they sold Disney Plus on the Mandalorian solely, right? That's what
Yeah.
they got it out.
And by the way, the Mandalorian is coming October 30th.
They actually announced a sequel project or like a follow up project to the Lion King live action.
Yeah, there is going to be a live action or photorealistic CGI sequel to The Lion King,
But
not
we don't know what
directed
it
by
is yet.
Jon Favreau.
They don't know if it's. They haven't even announced what it is yet. If it's like a TV show or a movie, they just said
No,
project.
it's a it will be a film.
Oh, it will be a film.
Yeah, there's no way it's not gonna. The first one made so much money.
Well, it made
There
it.
was
Well, that's why I'm confused as to why they're putting it out on Disney Plus instead of like releasing it in theaters.
where did you hear this that the sequel to The Lion King was gonna be on Disney Plus? That didn't happen. That's not gonna happen. I think by the time the second one comes out, like theaters will be back. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure. I mean,
that's
they've
what I
got to
saw.
be.
That's what I saw in the article, and it confused me because I was like, the first one made $1 billion. It's the most, it's the most profitable animated movie of all time. Yes, Disney, it's animated. Um, and yeah, I was like, why are they not putting it out on in theaters? But anyway, but I don't know. Maybe this time next year, theaters will still be in the shitter, and we'll have to
Um,
be watching
the
everything on
release
demand.
they're releasing Soul on Disney Plus. They intended to release that
Oh,
in
that pisses
theaters,
me off.
just
I'm
much like
disappointed
they
for
did
that.
with what was the last one with
Onward.
Onward. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was not bad. I mean, I'm less into animated films as I get older, but I wouldn't mind
Well,
seeing
Onward
Soul.
was fun, and Soul's a nice concept. I would have liked that. Like every Pixar film, I want to see them in theaters. They might even cut up bloody Black Widow into a miniseries.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, they might
Are you?
cut up Black Widow into like into a 6 part miniseries, like
Oh
they're doing
God, no, no, no,
the
no,
Vision and
God,
the.
hell no. They ain't gonna do that. They will
Well, what
never
are they gonna
release.
do? They're like, I'm pretty sure there's infighting at the moment between Feige and Disney. Disney's like, fuck it, we'll just release it on Disney Plus, and Feige's like, no.
You know, I would not be surprised
Oh, the other way around.
if they eventually say, let's release the film Black Widow on Disney Plus. It'd be unfortunate because it'd be the Scarlett Johansson led Marvel film that wouldn't be in theaters, and I was really looking forward to seeing her because like we a lot of
Three
people like
phases. She got no movie, and then finally, once she gets it, the whole thing's like mayhem, right? I'm so
yeah.
disappointed for her.
I'd
She
still like to
deserved
see
better.
she deserved better.
She deserved to be the. It's like she was the Captain Marvel before Captain Marvel arrived.
These are unprecedented times. Did you see
Indeed.
SNL with Bill Burr?
No, I don't watch the Saturday Night Lives.
Uh oh my goodness. There's a whole skit where this couple are saying things the wrong way. And they're
Okay.
like unprecedented, and they're being corrected. It's like it's unprecedented, and they like start freaking out. It's like we don't know what we're doing. We've been in isolation. And they start freaking out, and they start saying other words like wrong. Like It's weird. Bill Burr is one of my favorite comedians, but he's controversial, man. He pissed a few people off with his monologue.
Yeah, I have a coworker that really really likes Bill Burr, so he
Bill
talks
Burr,
about him often.
comedians get such a bad rap nowadays, man. They get so like there's always a critic for every little joke that's made, and even Dave Chappelle, who's not as funny as he used to be, I admit that. I still like watching his stand up, and I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but he's an interesting person to listen to. And
Mm.
I don't understand why people we're living in an age now where people kind of attack comedians. And Bill Burr made a
I
great
think
point.
Seinfeld addressed this in one of his comedians in cars getting coffee episodes. I think it was the one with Eddie Murphy. They kind of talked about this.
Yeah, it was. You're right. That's a good. That's a one of the best. That's actually the best installment of that
It
series.
is. It's the longest and it's the best, and I love them both. So great. But yeah, they talk about how comedians kind of like crack jokes at anything, but then it's very hard nowadays. But then I'm sure like people manage. Like
Yeah.
Taika isn't a stand up comedian, but the movies that he makes are comedic, and I think that Jojo Rabbit dealt with a very sensitive topic and it did it very well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That
I
was.
don't think anyone got offended at Jojo Rabbit.
I'm sure somebody did.
Oh
Somebody
yeah,
said.
probably, but I didn't see like any large
Yeah. Yeah.
outcries. Like there were more
Ex-
outcries about the Joker than there was
yeah.
about Jojo Rabbit.
Bill Burr made a great joke in his monologue about they're trying to cancel everybody now. They're trying to cancel dead people. He said, "Hear about this? They canceled John Wayne. God did that 40 years ago." And he died, right?
Yeah.
And and then he's like, what is it? Because of some interview he did in Playboy magazine back in the day where he expressed some like very far right views, right?
Mm.
Like for that time, even. And he goes, "What did people expect? He was born in 1907. Everybody talk like that." And it's like you're trying to punish people for being born into a time that was less enlightened than yours. You know what I mean? It's weird. But yeah, he's hilarious. I love Bill Burr and his
Yeah.
show on
Context is a
Netflix, F
peculiar
is for
thing in it.
Family. Have you seen
If it's
that?
fun. No, well, I don't watch stand-up comedian shows. Like sometimes I'll watch Trickle Prize. Gary came over once and he put on like an English comedian, I think. So I'll watch it if someone else throws it on, but I don't select those myself. Or
Yeah.
he arrives.
All right. Let's let's segue right
He
into
shows
the
his face to
boys.
talk about the boys.
Yeah. Have you heard my Bill Butcher impression?
No, go ahead. I want to hear your Carl Urban.
I don't know if I can do it around somebody who kind of has an accent like that, but not really. No, no. Okay, hold on.
Well, I think he's going more English though, isn't he? Though?
I mean, yeah, it's not a strong Australian accent. I find. I'll read this one. Bill Burr is a what was it? Bill Burr what? Bill Burr is great.
He's
He
great. He
speaks the
speaks the
truth though.
truth.
Okay. Okay, I fucked that one up. I like the bit about Black History Month being in February and should be in July. LOL.
That's okay. That I think that's pretty good Australian.
But
I don't think that's Billy Butcher. I think
it's not
Billy
Bill
Butcher.
Butcher. No, no. He's more like, "Don't be a cunt,"
Yeah, don't be a
something like
cunt.
that. Yeah, I
I
like
like the bit
that
about
line.
Black
That he's
History Month.
so,
Being in February, shouldn't be July. Something like that. Comedy,
um,
mate.
yeah, I did the impression on the Lower Decks review, and it was so good. Yeah, Starfleet Boy is like 10 out of 10 to everything that you do. He's a very loving
He didn't
person.
give a 10 out of 10 to my fan dance.
No, it's spot. No, it's spot on. Yeah, I
Remember what
like
I
how he
told
says
you?
to the kid at the
Don't
end.
be a
He's like,
cunt.
yeah, that was good.
Okay, so there's one
So
thing that bugged me in the finale. I thought it was great, but I have to address this right away. I don't understand why. So okay, the whole thing goes down with the girls beating on uh, God, what's her name?
Stormfront.
Stormfront. I was gonna say Deathstroke, but that no, Stormfront. So the girls beat on Stormfront, and then we have the other thing where the kid accidentally kills his mother. And what Homelander arrives, and like there are several moments where Homelander is like on the verge of killing Billy, and he should have killed him. The scenes are too long to me because like in like realistically, I feel like Homelander all he has to do like in a split second he can activate his eyes and kill Billy, and he doesn't do that. And I was wondering why it felt like a very movie or TV show thing to do. Like Maeve arrives and says stop, and then he stops, but you know he's like it almost looks like he's charging up his eyes, but he never does that. He just
Yeah,
blasts through.
especially since like minutes earlier in that same episode, he just asks one of the military guys, "Where's my son?" and not even a second later, just splits
Yeah,
him in two.
I feel like he should have killed Butcher in that moment, or they could have like to make it work. They should have had like Maeve already be there, I suppose, when he arrives.
Uh, yeah, it's his character is complicated in the way the actor plays Anthony Starr, I think his name is, plays him. I don't know if it's Anthony or Antony, but anyway, uh,
Tony.
because yeah, Tony. Because when he lands, he sees the love of his life fucking like charred up and shit.
Mm.
And my assumption was that okay, he's gonna finish her off. She's not dead, by the way. She's still alive.
She's absolutely not dead.
Yeah, and he looks like he's kind of in a spin, like he's just in a daze. So
Mm.
him not killing Butcher right away, and trying to lure the son over because another thing too, he's there like, yeah, come on, Danny. You know, like, what's his name, Danny? Isn't it
I don't
Danny,
know.
the little kid?
I don't care about the
What?
kid, to be honest.
Danny. I think it's Danny. But anyway,
I
yeah, the
feel like
kid.
you could have just killed Billy. Picked up the kid, even picked up her, and then left with them both, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's weird.
Well, she's gone full Vader now.
Yeah,
she she got burnt and she's lost limbs. They're gonna have to, but she can regenerate. She can regrow her stuff, can she? Or she can just
I'm not sure about. I have no idea. Probably
okay.
if they introduced like her that into the next season, I wouldn't like it because they didn't really like kind of
Yeah, okay.
address it in
You
this
want
season at all. They didn't show any indication that she could do that. Like we pretty much get the gist of her powers. She is vulnerable, but you know she's super strong like Homelander, but not as like Homelander is still like the king, right? Like nobody
I would
can
assume so.
outmatch him.
I
Yeah.
think maybe Black Noir can,
Uh, Black Noir, I don't know.
except for his tree nut allergy.
Yeah, just stuff an almond joy in his mouth,
It's fine.
and you disable him for a certain period of time. Maeve had the opportunity to kill him and didn't take it, so she's walking that fine line. And by the end of the season, she's screaming at Huey and Starlight like, "Get the fuck out of here! I don't want to help you guys. I did enough. I've already saved your lives."
But then she saves them. She's with the boys now, Maeve.
Yeah, I'm confused about Maeve's exact motivations. Like when the whole setup of the cell phone video was all a setup
Yeah.
for this end, right? Like this final scene, and I was wondering what they were gonna do with that. And you know, her girlfriend leaves or whatever. I didn't really care about any of that. I don't care about Maeve's drama. I did like the fact that they tried to corporatize their relationship.
That was fun.
I like that aspect. But by the end, Maeve is kind of just used as a device to stop Homelander at the last minute. Like, okay, you mess around, I'll release this video and everybody will know. And I like the line that he says. He's like, well, if you do that, I will destroy everyone and everything. And she's like, good, as long as everybody knows what an asshole you are or whatever, right?
I
So
feel like
it worked, but it was kind of cheesy. Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
understand that when you look like we look at it, we reflect on all these events, and you're like, oh, probably the video is stored somewhere, on the cloud, or maybe someone has a backup. But in the moment, had I been Homelander and like under like extreme stress or angered, I probably would have just lasered Maeve's face and the phone at the same time, right? I would have. I don't want to hear what you've got to say. The video is destroyed now because I fucked up the phone. That's probably what I would have just done. I would have also turned around, killed Billy, and then just flown off with the kid, and that's the end of it.
It's like
I mean, it's a
he
bit.
does.
Sometimes I feel like,
Homelander does show restraint. This season
yeah,
has showed a couple of times that his level of restraint and that whole fantasy about him killing the entire crowd because he's angry at them for turning against him. He suppresses that, but you
the
still
show's
see what he
building
wanted to
towards
do.
that, though. I feel like
That
the seasons as they progress, they will eventually build towards just Homelander just not giving a shit anymore, and eventually,
snapping and taking
yeah, I
everyone out.
feel like Vogt's gonna be like the way I see this show finishing. If it does get it, like if it were to get a happy end, I would see the show like Vogt gets taken down, but there's another organization that has another style of seven, and they are all good people, and the superheroes are good people, and they have to take down Homelander, which has become the supervillain of the planet. That's how I see it going down. But maybe not. I'm just assuming Homelander is going to become like outright villain.
Yeah, he's there's a shot at the very end where he's speaking and he's congratulating Starlight and talking about
Oh my god.
Stormfront is in captivity, and they zoom in on his eyes, and it's just like dead behind the eyes. And that's a very good. It's a very hard thing to play, like when the camera's like going right in on your eyeballs, and you have to
Mm.
play like just blank, like you have to play like you are dead inside, like you have no fucking soul. And they illustrate that very effectively, I find, in that shot.
Yeah, it's
But
such a horrible thing what he has to put both Maeve and Starlight through, like on that stage, like all of the corporate bullshit and the everything they do just for like you know for the public. It's like, oh, they saved the day, la di da, and it's like none of this is real, none of this is true.
exploding heads.
that that was genuinely interesting. That was great.
And who did you think
She's
it
a
was at
senator.
first?
I originally thought it was the escapee from the asylum, and I think that's what the show was trying to have us think, right?
Well, it turns out it is Victoria. Yeah, the what is it, Congressperson?
She's a congresswoman.
Sen-
She's a senator.
yeah, they're in some kind of fancy building.
She's government.
There is a loose end in season 2 that I didn't expect them to like leave hanging. Is the girl who's like Kaneda in Akira, was like can explode people,
Mm.
who some thought was probably the person exploding the heads, but apparently it is Victoria.
Oh,
And her
I thought it
job,
was the escapee from the prison, from the well, I call it a prison, but it was more
yeah,
like a testing facility. But that person, that soup,
yeah,
um, is now gone somewhere.
her ex, her exit song, like the last time you see her in the show, they play the theme song from Golden Girls.
Oh, really?
Thank you for being a friend. That one, and it's a really good song. But there's a lot of Billy Joel in this season.
Mm.
There's the song Pressure, Second Wind, Only the Good Die Young. Like, there's a lot of good Billy Joel in this season. And actually, Billy Joel himself approved of his. Approves the use of his music. But that's one thing this season has done better than last season, that they throw in these, like, old ass fucking, like, really rando songs that are special to me for certain reasons, because I used to watch the Golden Girls when I was a kid. They were like my second grandmothers. But and they were hilarious. That's a really good, well written show.
The
But
first
anyway,
show that I've actually seen do this on this kind of like it was Fargo. Fargo has, and I think it's Jeff Russo taking care of the soundtracks of Fargo. Um, and Noah Hawley, who writes and directs a lot of it, even did a few songs for the show. But Fargo has this; they have such an eclectic register. They just use songs from all over the world, any style, any just anything, but it suits and it matches the scenes so well. And I thought that The Boys season 2 handled that very very well. I like it when they do that. You can't do this kind of stuff for like
uh,
Star Trek or like The Mandalorian. You can't just use pop culture songs for shows that are set in like science fiction settings, that kind of stuff. It wouldn't match or suit too well. But for these,
you know
it's
what?
fine.
That would be interesting to see a hardcore science sci-fi show like use all this like random fucking eclectic
Well, it
music,
would
like
have
old
to
country
be.
and rap. And
It would have to be like
it,
a Guardians of the Galaxy style show. Like I would assume like if they were to do a Galaxy Quest, maybe
yeah,
you could do that.
someone in the future who's obsessed with old music keeps playing it everywhere, like
Maybe the Jetsons could pull that off if they're still planning on doing that live action Jetsons one day.
Jetsons.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think season 1 of The Boys was better than season 2. I think it was
Yeah,
stronger.
where do you? So they got to bring back that girl,
Mm.
the escapee, and they clearly do. And Jensen Ackles, I think that's his name, the guy from Supernatural, the blonde one. He's playing another. He's cast as some character in the third season.
Okay.
Some soup.
All right.
Maybe he's the one who's a match for Homelander. Who knows? I have no idea what his character is, but he's a soup, as they call him.
We'll see. Then.
I know
We'll
nothing
see.
about their plans, but you know how people complain about political agendas and there's too much politics and Trek and this and that and the other thing. Yeah, well, the boys are not the people behind the boys. The creator's name or the guy who writes it, and who's always in the Comic Con interviews, who I've actually watched but keep forgetting his name. Uh, he actually said before the season aired that, oh yeah, we're gonna get super in your face political. We're gonna like throw messages in there, fucking hardcore and like in your face. And if you're
Stronger
on
than
one
messages,
side,
they
they
have a literal Nazi.
have a literal Nazi who. And one of the most disturbing scene in the entire season is the one where she smashes that guy's face in, and yeah, they show his like his crushed skull, half alive, and it's like his daughter sees it, and it's really fucking nasty. And the fact that that Nazi bitch gets her ass handed to her at the end, to the point where she's even like, "Fuck this, I gotta fly away."
Yeah.
And then, and then she confronts Becca, and not even 2 words out of her mouth, Becca like stabs her in the eye. She's like, "Ah!" I'm like, oh, I'm rejoicing in this, but I was pissed off at the kid because as soon as the mother was getting choked, I'm like, kid, that she could kill your mother in like a split second. Fucking like react now. And it took too long, I find. And then
Well, that
do
whole
this
sequence,
they do
you
this
talk
fake
about
out.
that, I talk about Homelander. It's very long.
But that thing where the thing it goes bright and you don't really see exactly what happened.
Oh, I hated that so much. They did that
Man,
twice. They did it with the kid, but they also did it with Homelander and the people in the house. He lasers one guy, and then they
yeah,
don't show who you like. There's 12 other people basically. There's like a dozen people in there,
yeah.
or 10 maybe. He doesn't, and they don't. And I'm like, I watched The Boys because you guys dare do this kind of stuff. You guys show us the gore and you show us the blood and what have you. And I'm not like a bloodthirsty creepo, but like is this is the show where you can do that stuff. Show us the stuff. You know what I mean? So
I grew up watching Golden Girls.
I would have enjoyed seeing Homelander really kill all those people, not just walk out. And I would have enjoyed seeing the kid uh, do what he did. And the funny thing is, once it cuts back and you see his mother's cut hair, right? And Stormfront's losing limbs and whatever. You're like, wait a minute, how does that work? How did he like turn him off and on, or did he just slice everywhere, or did it just come out as a big? I don't know. I don't know how it worked, and I feel like they didn't know either. So they were just like, we're gonna cut to the damage has been done.
Yeah. By the way, the soup's name is Cindy.
Okay,
Didn't forgot that.
the prisoner.
But yeah, it's kind of a cop out that I
Yeah.
find where at first I didn't know, did the kid kill her or did Stormfront squeeze her too hard when she was attacked? You know what I mean? Like her grip like tightened up, or like she seized up, and because she could have killed her at any time. Like she has her,
Well, yeah, she could have
I
just
don't know, she,
electrified
she
her. Bzz.
yeah, like thinking back on it now, it would have been kind of cool if Stormfront shows up and before she even gets a chance to do anything, the kid just like, boom, boom, I'm fucking you up now. I'm the one who's gonna finish you off. And then Homelander comes down, and the kid's like, I'm going with him, with Butcher and Becca, and Becca's still alive, and but that's too much of a happy ending.
They
There had
they
to be a
wanted
tragedy at the end.
they wanted to make it so that the kid kills his mother, right? The point is they
Yeah,
want to fuck up the kid a bit.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so like Billy has to try to kind of like get the kid back, but then like Billy's not gonna take care of him. Like we know that he doesn't like. It's not that he doesn't
No,
care, but like he doesn't. I mean, had the child died, I don't think he would have cared. He just wanted his wife.
he just wants his wife, and now that she's gone, like he was gonna kill the kid for a second, and then Homelander shows up and distracts him, and then the kid's like, "I'm going with Butcher, and I'm gonna go off and not be a cunt." And uh, I think the kid is gonna realize I need to act sooner. If somebody I love is in danger, I'm not gonna hesitate next time. And like
Oh, you
that's
think
the
that's
lesson.
that's
That's
the
his origin
lesson?
story. That's his origin story as a soup. Like
Perhaps.
this, if the show goes on for any amount of time, maybe they might skip ahead a few years. Who knows? And like he's a teenager.
Cut to him like he's older. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's
that could
just
work. Like the one lesson that he learned when he was really young was you have to act fast because if you don't, then your mother dies.
yeah.
Terrible
But
things
you can't.
happen.
But you can't be like my dad who acts in haste many times and ends up causing planes to crash.
So far, this show has done a good job at like once people are dead, they are dead. They don't bring them back.
Yeah.
And I hope it stays that way. I hope they don't pull us some sort of shit garbage thing where like if you inject compound V into like a dead body, you can jumpstart them back to life.
Yeah.
I really don't want that.
I'm a little disappointed how the people want to sell Compound V and they want to make it like available. It's like going for $5 million a pop, and they're like, you can't do that. Victoria and the other woman, whose name escapes me, the whole old gray woman,
Hmm.
who's great by the way, but like they're like the audience is like, that's insane. You're gonna destroy the world.
Yeah, you can't do
What the
that.
fuck is
You
wrong
can't be
with you?
selling compound V.
And I love how Victoria now is like this super like she could possibly very easily explode Homelander's head. Who knows? And she's choosing not to do it for a certain reason. She could have killed
So
Stormfront and Homelander.
well, I don't know if that she can technically. I don't know how she works. I don't know if she's like capable of exploding only heads. Like, can she do potted plants as well? Like, what is her power
She
exactly?
kind of has the same. She kind of has kind of the same powers as Cindy, but not really. You know what I mean? Like she can do it with ease. Like she can just stand in a place and target people with her mind to just
It's
boom, pop,
essentially
pop,
I
pop.
want your head to explode, and so it does. That's all it is. It's just like a desire, and then it.
And she's doing this all while she's in the chaos, screaming and trying to get away. So she's performing these acts while she's like a magician. Like, so it indicates to me that this Victoria character is like the one to look for in season 3 as like
Yeah.
the big foil to possibly Homelander. Or
So
somebody else.
is she in the employment of Vought?
She isn't. She's trying to take him down. She
Well,
hates them.
that's what you think.
And
That's what the
she
show. That's
explains
what
to
the
the
show
guy.
presents to you. Do you think Vots
Yes, but
planted
she.
her there?
No, because she's trying to manipulate everybody into thinking that Vought, somebody in Vought exploded all the heads. And she's saying it's a coup when really it was her because she's with the other woman. She wants to take. She's a good guy. Like I don't think she's
You
bad.
don't.
Like
You don't think
she
it's like a good
she
move
she
on Vots, to have like they have this superpower lady that's like really that's working for them. They put her there, like because now she owns this. Well, now she's like leading up this task force to take down Rogue Zoops or whatever it is. Like this is the organization is the enemy of Vought. Isn't it intelligent for Vought to have like their own minion at the head of that?
could possibly be, but she's killing all not she's killing some the people on her side to cover her tracks, and then saying Vought's doing that for the same reasons. But then she's at the end she kills the leader of the Fresca Club. She explodes his head. And I'm
Okay,
like,
I gotta
okay,
say something. I was talking
she's
about
gonna take.
Fresca. I'm sorry, I was talking about
Yeah,
Fresca at work, and then someone was like, "Oh, so they're sponsored by Fresca?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, they invented this brand for whatever," and they're like, "Fresca's a real brand," and I did not know that. I had no idea that Fresca was a real drink. I thought it was something that they invented for the
oh
show.
really?
Yeah, I didn't know that Fresca was a real thing.
I believe it's made by Coca-Cola.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I thought Fresca was
it's
something that they
it's
invented
funny how they put.
for the show.
It's funny how they're willing to put their product, a can of their drink, on the floor next to like brains and blood and stuff. It's like, okay,
It's in the
that
context
makes
of
me
the
want to
show.
drink a Fresca.
Well, I think Fresca in
So
this show was used more as like I don't know. Does it have some sort of property that makes you more complacent, more compliant, like more? I don't know. It's strange. It's a strange way they
it's
used
just a
it.
weird it's just a weird symbol like offer somebody a Fresca, a nice refreshing drink. It's like a gesture of goodwill to kind of
Okay.
get somebody to listen to you and like come over and talk to me and have a Fresca.
I
Weird
was
culty shit.
okay. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't talk about this in the beginning because I really thought like this is my original thought was when the Deep gets introduced to this cult kind of thing and he gets given a Fresca. I was like, what are they doing? They giving him like a lemon thing because he's a fish. I was like, I don't get
Okay.
this. I was like, do these people eat people and they want to eat him and they're trying to lemon him up because he's a fish? I was like, what the hell is going on? But then they didn't go down that route.
Either Robbie
Well, there you go.
or Sohail thought they were real.
Well, there
It
you
was
go.
real.
Frisk is a real brand. You can actually go and buy out. You can buy some Friska.
Yeah. Um, what'd you think of the whole Frenchie backstory? Finally getting the whole
I don't care
lamplighter
about that. To be honest,
resolution.
I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I
I
was legitimately amazed that like Lamplighter went out like that.
yeah.
But
I like the hospital scene with all. By the way, we can now say that there is a giant dick attack in. That was
there
really
is,
fucked up.
yeah. It took me a while to understand what was going on. I didn't know it was the penis until the moment where they show it is. I'm like, oh my god, wait a minute, what am I watching?
Ugh.
I didn't play it
Just
back, by the way. Some of these super attacks, like when Stormfront does like these monstrous like attacks and blows people up, and it's all very disgusting. I'm like, oh god. I play it back and I rewatch it. The the penis attack, I didn't rewatch it, and I was like, nah, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Uh, yeah, but Mother's Milk's reaction uh, when he realizes what it was, and then Frenchie's reaction. Yeah, I didn't care too much for Frenchie's backstory, which explained what happened with Lamplighter. Like, Frenchie was supposed to stop him, but he was saving a friend from ODing and missed the chance. And Lamplighter meant to kill the woman, but he killed her kids. And
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know.
But the whole thing about um, Mother's Milk has a backstory where his father was fighting against Vought, and I guess his father kind of had the same kind of OCD he did, and kind of worked himself to death over it.
Mm.
Because
Well, that's what that he was talking about. That with Starlight. That's the episode where they went off and did their own thing, right?
yeah, and they went off
Mm.
to see Don Lewis talk about Liberty. And that's where they find out she's so old and all this. But yeah, I like
Mm.
his development in the show. He's a more interesting character in this season than he was in season 1. Mother's Milk was kind of like around, and it was a lot about Kamiko and Frenchie and Butch and Starlight and Huey. And
Mm.
and Mother's Milk was kind of like in the background, but they actually invested some time into like his motivations. And I love the fact that he actually at the end he gets reunited with his family. Like, so to a degree there is a kind of happy ending. Don't care for Huey and Starlight's romance anymore. Like, it's icky, it's
You're over
cringy
it.
to watch on screen. I'm like, at the end when he's like, "Are you kidding? I'm not gonna mess that up with you. I'm gonna be with you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, Boimler!" It's like,
He
I
is
don't
very
know.
Boimler. I can't. I
He is very
can't
Boimler.
not see Boimler anymore. In it's just like Jack Quaid has become Boimler now. He needs to. He needs to make dye his hair purple.
Starfleet Boy says I'm gay, and I didn't rewatch it either. Talking about giant penis scene. Well, it's disgusting. It's fucking gross. I don't whether you like them or not. It's like if you saw two 30-foot veiny breasts with like giant nipples knock your teeth out. That would be
Yeah, that's
kind
the
of
thing.
gross to animate too. Think about the
It's not.
animators that got to do that shit.
Goddamn. The thing is, it's not because it was a penis that I didn't rewatch it. It's because of the size of it. You know what I mean? And the anyway, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, pretty interesting season anyway.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting season. I think the back half of it, like the second half of it was, well, no, it's more like the middle of it kind of. I liked the 3 first episodes, and then the like 2 last ones were pretty good, but those middle ones were kind of like, eh.
Yeah, it
I
it
don't know how
really
they
does
managed
feel
that.
like it
The
feels like
episodes
one of
and
those
then
shows that
drag it
should have been
out.
released all at once, like they did last season. Didn't they release last season all at once?
They did, and I'll tell you what, I'm not one to agree on that traditionally, but I will this time. Like, I'm not one to. I like watching shows week to week, and I enjoyed having Lower Decks week to week. That was great. Um, but I feel like maybe this show should have come out at once. This one here. Yeah, I wouldn't have because some of those middle episodes were kind of like eh. But if you release it like at once, then you'd probably just watch. You'd watch it in 2 or 3 times, and so it wouldn't feel as much like that.
Hmm. There's a bit of a redemption story for.
I don't like what they did with the Deep though.
Oh no, not with the deep. Yeah, they. Yeah,
I don't
he's just
understand where
a
they're going with this.
he's a
He's just
nonsense
there now.
character. Yeah. One of the worst scenes that some people just absolutely love is the scene where his gills are singing to him, "You are so beautiful," and they're singing together and all this. Yeah, no,
I
can't
neither
do it.
like it nor dislike it. I just don't care about it. It's like whatever.
Yeah. I like how he does get duped at the end. But he's like, "A Train, you stole the files," and like he rewards him for it.
Yeah.
And I like A Train's kind of slight redemption story. Like, he helps in the end and
Well, he
all.
doesn't seem like that much of a bad guy, right? I suppose.
He's a prick, but he's not evil. Like, he doesn't want
Yeah.
to be evil. Like, he doesn't want to be like Homelander or Stormfront. He doesn't have that mindset. Neither does
Um.
Maeve. Like, Maeve
Yeah,
and
that's the
A
thing. I
Train are
can.
the more.
I can see redemption for those characters. Like I can see them redeeming themselves, and I can see myself liking them. The Deep, I just can't. I just hate the Deep. So fuck that guy.
See you later, Starfleet boy. A Train was barely in the season, but what they gave him was decent.
Yeah, well, he had that
Um,
moment with Stormfront, didn't he? On the set where there's like he
yeah, there
like
was a
understands that she really hates that she's like a Nazi.
yeah, mm,
He understands that.
yeah. All right, I think we pretty much covered everything. Probably forgot like a bunch of the stuff, but yeah,
No, for sure.
it's very much looking forward to season 3, which is going to be in 2025, 26. Raised by Wolves, which probably who knows when these shows are coming back. It's going to be a while.
God knows. So long. We might get a lot more
And
animated shows in the
looking
following years,
for
actually.
yeah,
I'm thinking.
that's because they're lower. If Lower Decks proved anything, you can do it from home. You can do it remotely and still create
Hmm.
a quality looking show.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also looking forward to your discussing Star Trek Discovery or
Oh
complaining
yeah,
about it with
on
you
Thursdays.
and
We'll see.
Starfleet Boy.
I hope not. I hope I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see where they're going. It's gonna be
It's
new and bold.
it's good. Did you hear what Jonathan Frakes said about the first 3 episodes?
No. Does it spoil anything?
He revealed it doesn't spoil plot points, but it spoils the structure of the first 3 episodes. Like there's a Walking Dead esque kind of way they're approaching the first 3, according to him, if he's correct. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
He's seen the first 3. I think he directed the third one.
Okay.
Can't remember.
Well,
Would you like me to
yeah,
reveal the
go
structure of the first
go
three
ahead. But
episodes?
keep in mind, one of the writers for Discovery season one, before the show came out, when I asked him, said that the first season of Discovery would play out a lot like Game of Thrones, and I find that is completely incorrect. So, but go
Oh
ahead.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I weird. But that's another. A lot of people were like, even me back in the day, I was like, I want this to be the Game of Thrones of Star Trek, but like, not a cheap imitation that fails to make
Yeah.
any sense. But it has its faults, but I still love the cast, and there's certain episodes I've really loved. But basically, the third season, the way it works, the first episode is all Burnham, no
Okay.
Discovery crew apparently,
Okay.
and then the second episode is all Discovery crew and no Burnham. And which, if that is true,
Okay.
uh, if that is true,
Those
that
episodes
means
happen at the
that would
same
be
time.
perhaps, but that would be the first time Sonequa Martin Green is not in an episode of Star Trek Discovery. And then the
I
third
would have.
episode,
Go.
is the details are slightly spoilery, but we see it in the trailer anyway, so we know what's going to
Hmm.
happen. The third episode is her reuniting with the
Yeah.
crew. Now I'm thinking, now this has not been revealed, but I'm just speculating that they devote the entire first episode, like the first half is her adventure with Book, and then the second half is like a huge passage of time, like a whole thing, a montage where she's like, and I've been waiting here, blah blah blah. This, and it's been a year now, or it's been a year and a half, blah blah blah, and her hair is growing longer, and you get that what you see in the trailer, that little clip show of her hair, like her in the same location, and her hair's getting longer and longer. So I think a lot of time is going to pass, and then when they go to the second episode, it's going to be all Discovery, and they're going to devote all that to their 1 year adventure. Like they're going to do a 1 year story each. Now I have no idea if that's true. I have no idea, but I think that would be pretty fucking cool. And by the time you get to the third episode, it's been a year. They've both been separated for a year, and now it's like the adventure of the show starts.
Hmm.
I don't know.
That works. I would have opened with the Discovery Crew episode, not the Burnham.
I want to see how accurate Frakes is, because I don't. These guys say things, and I'm like you said, it doesn't turn out to be all that accurate sometimes.
I mean,
but who knows?
yeah, I wouldn't have opened with the full Burnham.
Yeah.
I know she started the
All right,
show,
Sean. Well,
but yeah.
yeah, we'll end it there, and like I said, check out Sean's channel for all great Star Trek coverage. And until next time, folks, stay frosty.